Welcome to the Whole Career Podcast, where we explore the world of healthcare careers with AdventHealth professionals. We're your hosts, Brandon Strong and Sky Kellogg, and we're excited to take you on a journey of career exploration, development, and success.
At AdventHealth, we believe in caring for the whole person, which includes supporting our team members' professional growth and development. In this podcast, we'll be highlighting valuable career information, resources, and advice to help you succeed in both your professional and personal life.
Each episode will feature conversations with AdventHealth professionals who will share their personal career journeys, insights, and perspectives on various healthcare careers. From nursing to technology to leadership, we'll cover a wide range of topics to help you stay informed and inspired.
Whether you're just starting out in your healthcare career or you're a seasoned professional looking to take the next step, this podcast is for you. We hope to empower you with the knowledge and tools you need to grow, succeed, and make a positive impact in your field.
At AdventHealth, we believe that we are greater as a whole, and we invite you to join us on this journey. So sit back, relax, and let's explore the world of healthcare careers together. Welcome back to the Whole Career Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Strong, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Sky Kellogg. And so today we have an amazing guest here with us. We have Britney Benitez, and she's the Vice President and Chief Nursing Officer for AdventHealth Orlando. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. Good morning.
Good morning. So before we get started, just for the audience, give us a brief overview of your role as VP and CNO,
Yes.
Specifically at AdventHealth Orlando.
Yeah, so I have grown up in Central Florida and been blessed to be a nurse in Central Florida for my entire career. And AdventHealth Orlando is kind of our mothership, right? It's our landing hospital. And the VP, CNO, Chief Nursing Officer role is the nurse's nurse. So we get to have the opportunity to lead strategy. We get to partner with our colleges and universities in the Central Florida area to help make it easy for integration from practice into working in the hospital. The Chief Nursing Officer gets to partner a lot with our physician staff and work on projects to improve clinical care for our physician team and our patients. And there's so much connection with the frontline nursing team, and then we get to see patients every single day. So who doesn't love to do that? So get to walk into the campus every day, connect with our patients, connect with our team, and continue to understand what does our community need to best be taken care of. And then that's the role of the Chief Nursing Officer, to be able to be a partner in that, to work through with marketing and with our business development team to say, hey, this is what's coming into our emergency department. These are the kind of patients we're seeing, and how are we ready to take care of them every time they walk in the door.
Wow.
I know
Nurse
there are
is
so
nurse.
many, there are so many facets to that I'm excited to dive into,
Yes.
but thank you for sharing
Of
that.
course.
And if you could just tell us about your journey from pre-nursing to becoming the Chief Nursing Officer.
Well, it actually starts in high school. I was really fortunate to go to the Academy of Health Careers in Sanford. So, like I said, I grew up right here in Central Florida. My high school had a magnet program for Health Academy, and so my entire four-year high school journey, I was able to work toward getting my certified nursing assistant's license. And so you did your clinicals. I spent a lot of time in nursing homes in high school, which, depends on who likes to do that. But I really loved being able to go into the nursing homes and take care of people. And so when I graduated high school, I was able to get my CNA license.
That's nice.
Yes, it's a great opportunity for those in high school.
Yeah.
And then I started in my undergrad, and then I was working in home care for quite some time. And I was like, I want to get into the hospital setting. And so I applied, and I was able to become a patient care tech at East Orlando, actually. So I started at East Orlando before I even started nursing school. And then when I started nursing school, I transferred to the Orlando campus, and I got what's called now a nurse tech position. So when I was in nursing school, I was able to work in that position. And then once I graduated nursing school, I did my nurse residency on night shift, and I was on night shift for 5 years in one of our ICUs. And then I just loved taking care of nurses, and I loved critical care, certainly, but I loved taking care of the nurses that took care of the patients. And I was offered an assistant nurse manager job in that same unit. And then we had a really awesome opportunity with our transplant population. To find ways to take them out of the ICU sooner or bring them into a non-ICU setting. And so they offered me the position of nurse manager in one of our units, and I was fortunate to serve in that role for about 5 years. And then along the way, I always joke, the more time that you spend in one place, the more they ask you to do, and you get
Oh
more and
yeah.
more opportunities, and you just can't turn some of these wonderful opportunities down. And so then I started working in more of a strategic nursing role. So nursing finance, nursing budgets, nursing resources, so equipment. And that's really where I was able to see, like, what does the back of the house look like? How do you organize nursing work in a whole different way? So using my brain, partnership with the CFO, the finance officer, a lot. And then, like anything, I was offered an amazing opportunity to help support and lead imaging, rehab, respiratory, outside of nursing. I was like,
Right.
are you sure this is what you want me to do?
Right. Right.
But I will tell you that being able to do that side by side, it really opened my eyes into how connected nursing is into the other spaces. And at the end of the day, it's about the patient. And so I was in an executive director role for quite some time doing that. And then I was afforded the opportunity to become the chief nursing officer about 2.5 years ago. So an incredible journey with a lot of opportunity to learn and see other sides of nursing, truly.
Wow. What a story.
Yeah, and when you were brought into like the financial side of things, what was that transition like?
Oh, it was
I was
terrifying. It was
that's what I'm
terrifying,
thinking.
right?
I would be
And
terrified.
who
So.
am I to say, oops, you know, it really was, but it was so fun to say, oh, this is how this works.
Right.
Mhm.
This is why. I had an incredible partner who's actually still at Orlando in our finance department, who just taught me so much. She, side by side, and said, this is how this works. This is how we think. And we were able to merge and say, okay, I can make a clinical case. I know that something might be the right way to help take care of a patient, but now I could put it together with the business case and work with my partners and say, oh, that's how that makes the most sense to tell a really holistic clinical story. And I think at any point that you can learn somebody else's point of view and what they're looking at when you're trying to create change, the stronger you are in being able to not only understand it yourself, but then to go back to my nursing team and I could say, okay, guys, now I get the methodology. I understand the bones of it. I know the formula. So let's work toward that because we have a great case to make. Or we have a great story to tell, but now we have a really good partnership with our finance team.
Yeah.
I love that collaboration because
Yeah.
it just speaks towards like creating a good trusted partner or partnership. And even just to kind of highlight our internship program that we have here at AdventHealth annually, it's a summer internship program. We always have the finance and accounting interns connect and get onto the units, onto the floor with the nurses and kind of see what they're going through. And that way, our thinking is that we're allowing them to have that experience so that they understand as they're working on budgets and they're working on these different, things where they're saying yes or no, right? Like understanding that let's think about before we say yes or no to some of these things, why may a nurse be requesting this or why may this hospital be requesting this? Because you go on the floor, you see maybe what they're dealing with and you just have a better connection to that wholeness and that holistic approach. So yeah, it's wonderful that it even happens not only with the interns, but it even happens at the highest level, which is the C-suite, and so the CFO is connecting with the CNOs, and so that's great.
Yeah. It keeps you curious too.
Yes.
I love the new questions that come in, the new thoughts and ideas. It keeps us all curious, and we learn every day from each other.
Yeah. So what were some of the key challenges you faced while climbing the ladder, which you just kind of explained that entire ladder, which is a very, very long ladder, but it's amazing how you were able to do that. But what were some of the key challenges and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, so the first challenge that I can really think about is that in nursing, the clear pathway to get to CNO is something that it wasn't well understood. So I knew that I wanted to continue to grow, and I didn't know at the time what that meant. So I was like, okay, I have goals and I have aspirations, and I know and I feel like this is the right thing for me, but how do I map that out? So if I start here in my career, how do I get to point X? And is that the right thing for me? And I think that we have done a lot of work in this past decade in leadership around leadership development, growth pathways, residencies, fellowships. But when I was starting, that was just barely scratching the surface of us getting that defined. So I think that was an opportunity for sure for me. And then ultimately, I think some of my age was a challenge. I came in really young as a bedside nurse, and there's that old adage that you have to work for a long time to have that experience. And it's actually, for me, I think it's so much more important to understand who you are and what you have to offer with your skills, and partner with strong mentors who also believe that, and be open to a ton of experiential learning. Be out in the environment, and it's not about age. It's not about how much experience you have maybe at one campus or another. It's about how willing are you to be in an uncomfortable spot and learn and gain empathy, and be out of your comfort zone, and to be able to do those things. And so that's what I tell anybody that is telling me, am I crazy for wanting to do this? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think continue to make your path, and partner yourself with some really, really strong mentors to help build and grow and develop who you are, and then that sense of self.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And how did leveraging mentors for you throughout your career, how did that help you get to where you are today?
Yeah, I've had some really, really instrumental mentors within my campus. I was really fortunate. I sat on a shared leadership, which is an informal leadership council at our campus that was led by Trish Solano, who was the chief nursing officer at the time. And that was kind of my first aha of, I want to be like Trish.
Okay.
Right? You're just enamored
Right.
by her vision and what she wanted for nursing, and so that was the kind of the start of how do I find leaders that inspire me like Trish does, and how do I continue to learn from them and ask them questions. And so as I was able to move into leadership, and I had my nurse manager role. I welcomed any feedback. I always asked, could I have done this better? Can I learn about this a little differently? Can I meet with you beforehand? And that started to build those relationships. And it was, I'm investing in the product I'm putting out, and it kind of returned into they're investing in me for that best product. And it was a two-way street, because your mentor, you have to build that trusting relationship that when you're in that, somebody's pouring into you, that you're really not only, I think, value that person and their mentorship, but you value the time and the expertise that they're giving you. And so over time, there were 3 very dynamic leaders that invested a lot of time in me, and I'm so incredibly thankful for all of them. I still call on them for feedback or say, how did that go? Do you think I could have done that different?
Right.
And they're also the leaders that over time, when positions would come up, they would say, have you thought about this? And I said,
Right.
you're crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They said, no, truly think about that. And I think that those mentors see in you what you don't see in yourself.
Correct.
Yeah.
And they open doors for you that I think we all have opportunity to do that, but they really do say, like, you should go for it. You should think about this. And that's special. That's a special difference, I think, at AdventHealth, because there are so many people that are like that.
Yeah. And are those 3 mentors that you are they still with
Oh, they
AdventHealth?
are. They
And
are.
so to speak towards that, I just received a slide deck from one of our our research team and digital team, and they were able to highlight that we have 5 generations working at AdventHealth
Yep.
right now, right? So baby boomer, Gen X, Gen Y, right? And so I just always love looking at that slide, because even in your instance, it sounds like those people that came before you were able to either remove roadblocks and make sure that you're getting the opportunities that you need to. And so I think it's so important not only just to have the older individuals or more seasoned individuals, but of course the younger generation as well.
Yes.
So I just love that the fact that we have that slide created where we highlight the 5 generations that we have working
Yep.
at our company right now. So that's amazing.
And do you have people that have reached out to you for you to be their mentor
and
as
that's
well?
the most
Yeah.
fun. I think it's so rewarding to have somebody say, I really I value your opinion, I value your journey, and could you help be a part of that? I think also when you talk about generations, I think it's so important that we look at who our mentors are as well, to say, do we have representation from all of because I don't think the same way as everybody within those different 5 generations. And so I've even asked for some of our younger nurses to just be part of my team in just a council of, are we on track? Are we crazy?
Right.
Does this resonate with you? And it does give you a whole different view.
All right. So, Brittany, can you share more about the moment you decided to shift from pursuing your ARNP to focusing on leadership?
Yes, so I remember it clearly. I was, like I said, I was a night shift nurse, and we had rolled out a new clinical ladder program. And it was the first time that the clinical ladder program required electronic uploading of documents. And my nursing team, very, very blessed with a very tenured team, was like, "You are out of your mind. I don't even have a phone that takes pictures."
Right.
And so I became the champion. At night, I did all of the uploading of documents, and I felt so good about helping the nurses. And I remember I was sitting down one night and I was getting ready to enroll in my very first class for my nurse practitioner program, and I'm like, "What are you doing? Is this going to be what you want to invest your time in?" And it was a really hard pause. I went home and I said, I really want to be a leader. I want to take care of the nurses. I felt so fulfilled. And I got to see them be so excited for somebody to advocate for them, and help them. And it just changed everything. I unenrolled in my nurse practitioner program. I didn't have a plan. I will be honest, I didn't have a plan. I just knew that that wasn't my path.
Mhm.
And I knew, okay, I'm going to really start um, thinking through, who am I as a nurse, and what is my strength. And then I had two assistant nurse managers at night that I sat with both of them, and I said, okay, this is really what I want. I want to become an assistant nurse manager one day. And both of them took me right under their wings, and they said, okay. All right, we're gonna train you. So it was, you train to teach other people, which is called precepting. So I was already a preceptor, but then they said, we're going to train you to do charge nurse. This way you are getting that experience, and then we'll be right alongside you. And then shortly thereafter, I was able to get an assistant nurse manager position on that unit.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah, I really want to pull out what you said, that you didn't have a plan, but you just knew that wasn't your path.
Yeah.
And I think that's so, to me, that's a comforting phrase to keep in mind, as many other people probably listening to this podcast that maybe don't necessarily know what the long-term plan is, but you know that, like, what that next step is
Right.
either part of your path or it's not. And just being able to ask that
Yeah.
question and discern what's best for you is really helpful. So yeah, I love that piece of advice. And Brittany, I really want to transition into tuition support, and how Advent Health has helped you in your career development through tuition support, and how others can also take advantage of those opportunities.
Yeah, I love talking about using tuition support. I was really fortunate. So I have been able to receive my RN to BSN, my bridge through Adventist. Well, it was
At the time, it's
it
changed
it's
names. Yeah.
changed,
Yeah.
but at AHU,
Hmm.
and I was able to have that 100% covered through our tuition assistance program, and then also my master's program. So my master's of science in nursing leadership, that was I was able to leverage tuition assistance for that, and now I'm currently in my doctoral program,
Oh,
also through
congratulations.
Guild. Thank
Yeah.
you, being able to have part of my tuition covered through that. And um, anybody I come across, I'm like, this. It's an investment in you, and the company believes in you. And so let's get this on the right path, and let's make it easy for you to go to school. And I know for sure that I would not feel as valued or as invested or as seen within our organization if I didn't have some of those opportunities right from the very beginning, to be able to continue my nursing journey. So
Yeah.
I encourage everybody to get on to the Guild website, or
Yeah.
into any of our tuition or certification program websites, and to learn more about how to
Hmm.
continue to grow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's an amazing opportunity.
Yes.
And being a full-time employee, you have these offerings available for you. So just want to plug, if you have not taken advantage of that, please let your supervisor, your manager know
Yeah.
that you're interested, and they absolutely will have the information to make sure that they share that with you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can get 100% from your RN to your BSN if you go to AHU. 100% covered.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. And so can you elaborate on the importance of career planning in the nursing field and how it helped you achieve your goals?
Yeah, so I think it's really important for us as a leadership team to help and sit down with any of our young clinicians, whether it be in the nursing field, but so much in healthcare, and say, okay, what are you looking for? What is your passion? There are so many opportunities at Advent Health to be able to grow within your field, or even outside of your clinical field, but still have so many opportunities. And I think the most important thing is talking with your leader about, I really want to stay with Advent Health. I'm really looking for growth, and what's available, and how can I be able to have those open conversations, and then continue to work towards some of those goals. So there are, when you think of a clinical role, there are some, right, that you have to be a certain license to have that role, but there's so many that you need the experience, the clinical experience, and so that career mapping helps to say, hey, I want to be a leader of people, or I want to be a leader of process, and then you work with your leadership team and you say, oh, you know what, there's some really great courses within leadership and talent development that we can get you started with. Maybe we partner you with a mentor outside of your maybe you're within radiology, right? And so you partner with a mentor outside of radiology to just open that your horizon of opportunity. And I think that career mapping, being very intentional in your one-on-one conversations with your leader, and then talking about that you're open and potentially interested in outside of just your space, allows your leader to partner you with the right type of mentor. And that gets the wheel started. And then there's tons of resource within leadership and talent development, and our entire team there to help say, okay, let's continue to keep going on this pathway and make some milestones for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think I recruited for nurses for about 6 years. And one of the things I learned is that those nurses that are become burnt out, which every
Hmm.
industry, no matter employee, you'll at some point
Every
feel
day. Yep.
burnout. And I think that was the deciding factor as to whether they stayed in the nursing field or not, is knowing what other positions they could flow
You
into
are
or
key.
transition into. And so, my sister's a nurse. And so, I mentioned to her, I was like, hey, if you're ever feeling that, talk to me. Like, I have the ability where I am fortunate enough to know a lot of other opportunities that might be in nursing that may take you away from bedside. And I know maybe every nurse manager right now hearing me say this is like, do not take my nurses away from bedside. But what I can say as an HR individual is that we seek retention as well. So if
Mhm.
doing that allows you to stay in the nursing field, to stay
Right.
with us and maybe say, hey, I'm going to do this for a little while, but I'm still going to be at the same company in the nursing field, in the nursing department, and then come back to the bedside. I just think that it is a breath of fresh air to do that and then maybe cycle back through
Yeah.
to the bedside. So can you talk a little bit about like maybe you've had some situations like that in speaking to other individuals who maybe felt that burnt out and how you may have guided them to maybe do something different before they officially left the field?
I think in our field, we have to give ourselves grace. Regardless of position in healthcare, it is hard, and there's been a lot that's happened. And in nursing, we have to give ourselves the forgiveness and grace to say, this was really, really hard for a long time, and I need a break. I need to be the very best version of myself. And that's what I tell our nursing team all the time. I said, will it break my heart if you want to leave the Orlando campus? Of course, because I love you, but it would break me even more to see you leave our profession, and to know that you feel maybe isolated or alone, because that is not our mission. And I know for sure there's not a single person within our organization that wants somebody to leave the profession, especially when it calls to serve the community. So we talk a lot about, we want you to know that there are options. There are always options available to you. Let's sit down and let's look. An experienced nurse is valuable everywhere, everywhere. And so, how do we say, okay, you really like clinical documentation? Okay, we have positions within clinical documentation. You love triaging sick patients and helping a physician. Okay, great. Well, we have this type of role available for you. Maybe there's just a time where they say, you know what, it is really hard to work a 12-hour shift. Great. here's some 4-hour shifts, here's 8 hours. There's so much flexibility. And then we have a really, really great chief nursing officer CNO partnership. I will say there is never a time that I can't call another campus and say, I have an incredible human that I think would be a really great fit for a potential of your role. And there's always that great, bring them on over. Let me meet them. Come, let them see what our campus does or what our department does. And the investment in the person is so important. And I tell the nurses every single day, if you're getting to that point, before you need to raise the white flag, call me, text me.
Mm.
Um, and they're like, I can text you. And I said, please text me. And we've been able to really find different spaces. And I've had nurses that'll call me and say, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to come back. And then I've had nurses say, I have found the dream job for me. And then they send periodic updates of how they're doing, or you still see them all the time.
Right.
And it's the relationship that's really special in that.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, I think a piece that I want to draw out of that as well is that you make it very clear that the team member also has to speak up for themselves. And I think empowering team members is something that it sounds like you have just been wonderful at doing, and that you've been empowered yourself. So then in turn has made it easier to empower others. So that's one thing that I hope listeners kind of draw from this as well, that you do have to speak up for yourself and say that, I want to stay here, I want to grow.
Yeah.
Maybe this just isn't for me, or how else can I be challenged or grow in this space? So yeah, I just appreciate you sharing that. And outside of that advice, though, what advice would you give to someone who's looking to start their nursing career in an organization that's as large as AdventHealth or AdventHealth itself?
Continue to be courageous. There's a calling, and there's a really special place for nurses in Advent Health. And it's hard. It is really hard, but it is worth it. Every day it is worth it. There's an incredible group of nurses within Advent Health who believe in the profession, who believe in serving patients, and who believe in investing in a brand new nurse. And that is a defining difference in our organization. Our residency program for a new nurse and a nurse coming into the organization, not maybe just a brand new nurse, but somebody that's never been with us. There's so much investment in them right up front, and it's unlike anything I think I've seen. And I've met with a lot of other organizations around how do they do their onboarding and their residency. And there's an investment in success, and there's so many opportunities once you get here. So continue to move forward, continue to do the work. It is hard. Find what makes you happy outside of it.
Yeah.
Always focus on filling your bucket. Know that it is tough, but know that it's incredibly rewarding and that there's always people that are going to be in your corner, and to reach out and reach out often. Ask the questions, be inquisitive, and stay courageous. And there's just endless possibilities once you start here.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I do want to go back when you were giving us your kind of career journey. You mentioned that you completed a nurse
I
residency.
did.
And so I know that was like several years ago. So I'm speaking to this because, Sky and I, we work on a team that hires GNs. And so, in my experience and just talking with a few of those students, sometimes they hear nurse residency as going to be their first job, right, as they enter out. And they're like, what is that? I've never heard of the nurse residency program. Is
Hmm.
that a real job? Am I going to be paid? And so they hear the word program and they're just like, no, I want the real nurse job. And I'm like, oh gosh, well, having to explain that. And so I'm glad you touched on that. But I also was surprised that you said that even, several years ago, you participated in a
Hmm.
nurse residency program because for a lot of hospitals, like actually naming it a residency program is new.
It is.
And so, can you just talk towards maybe some of the messaging that you've had to help create as a CNO around the nurse residency program? And,
Yeah.
and how that's probably impacted, maybe people deciding to join Advent Health because of how foundational it is, or go somewhere else.
Yeah, I love that, Brandon, because there are more and more people now, and you probably are seeing that are asking, "What is your residency, and what
Right,
does it offer me?" And then there's like, "Oh, what is a
right,
residency?"
right.
And so, what I always say is that it is your arm to arm, wrap around team that is going to ensure that from the minute you step onto the campus and you start taking care of patients until you're independent in your practice, they are a team of supporters that are right alongside you to guide you into clinical practice. So, I talk a lot about the simulation, and you get to have a safe space to learn how to take care of a patient the way AdventHealth takes care of patients. And you get to do that with amongst peers that are going through the same thing that you are, and you get to do it with that group of individuals. You get one-on-one training, you get one-on-one education. So there's a lot of education that you get throughout the course of your residency, and that there is a dedicated partner within your space that's really looking to ensure that you're successful and that is just as invested in that as you are. When I talk about the length, so the lengths of programs are different depending on level of care and specialty, and I always bring it back to this is an investment for you to be the very best version of yourself as a nurse. And at any point during that residency program, if there's a moment in which you're like, I don't know if I can do this anymore, or I might not feel really confident, you have a person that you can go right to within our nursing professional development team and say, I need help, I need support. And it's a really good transition. It's a soft transition from nursing school that has a lot of structure, and then to your first potential job. And this gives us a nice soft transition where you get a little bit of the aspect of school and a little bit of the aspect of direct patient care, and you can bridge into it at your readiness. To me, I don't know how I would have done it without a residency, truly. Um, and that was about 15 years ago, and I think I'm so thankful for that today, because I definitely would have walked right in like, "Oh my gosh."
Right. Right. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that.
So, Brittany, if you could just share some insight as to some current projects you're working on and how you believe this will impact Advent Health as a whole.
Yeah, I'm really excited. The Orlando campus has just relaunched their shared governance. So, that is a multidisciplinary group of frontline team members that were nominated by their departments. And it's not just nursing. And we have a once a month committee where action request forms are put out from our frontline teams. And then that committee, which is about 100 individuals, come together and they work on the decisions. They look at solutions, they meet with key stakeholders. So, if we're have an idea about a different type of a piece of equipment, for instance, it goes to that committee. They work with our supply team. They work with understanding what are we looking for in the product, and then they help us to make a decision. And what I love about that is w- we get to break down barriers, but it's their ideas that are coming forward and saying, "Hey, have you ever thought about doing it this way?" A lot of patient safety. Opportunity comes out of that because we're empowering our frontline voice to say, I think we could do this better. And then it's the frontline team that's making the decisions. And in our Orlando shared governance structure, like I said, it's not just nursing. So we have pharmacy at the table, we have respiratory therapy, we have our behavioral health team at the table. So it is a collection of ideas and voices from every aspect of how we're taking care of that patient, or maybe we're administering that medication, and they're saying, let's think about it this way. And we all know that when the frontline teams make the decision, it will always yield a better result than myself,
Right.
5 steps potentially away from that. And it might be the right decision in the moment, but might not sustain, right? And so, how we continue to get that voice heard, how we empower the team to say, I have control to fix this, it's been really, really fun to watch. And the action request forms keep coming in, which means we have a lot of work to do, which I love. I love. We get to be professional problem solvers and hear the frontline team say, "Oh, I never thought about that. Thank you for that. And let's go work on it."
Mhm.
It's meaningful for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Having that buy-in is huge. So,
Yes.
I really appreciate your time today, Brittany, and learning
Absolutely.
about your career journey. It's been inspiring to me, and I'm sure it will be inspiring to everyone who listens. But before we close, would you mind just sharing what you hope that listeners take away from your career journey, or any last piece of advice.
Yes. So for me, I would say I hope that our listeners take away that anything is possible within this organization. You have so much opportunity, but also within that, part of it is reaching out. Like I said, being courageous and saying, I really think that this could be something for me, and finding that person to go talk to about it. Always ask questions. Always ask how you can get feedback to do something different, and leverage our tuition assistants, leverage our talent and development team, and leverage your leader, and say, this is really what I believe in, and it'll happen. It will happen, especially if you're already listening to the podcast, right? We
Right,
know
right,
we know
right.
that you're in the
Yeah.
right headspace for growth and want to continue to develop, and we're here to be that support partner for you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brittany.
You're
This has
welcome.
been a wonderful
Thank
conversation.
you. Thank you
Yeah.
both.
Yeah. And thank you for listening to the Whole Career Podcast. We hope that you subscribe and continue to listen to us on your favorite platform. Until next time, take care.